linebacker, and Trey Neal, returning safety. This has been a great offseason for us from January till now. Our kids have really bought in. We've had great participation and great effort in our offseason program. We've got a lot of our install done. We were talking earlier in June on offense and defense and in our kicking game. And I'm excited about this group of seniors. We got some great intangibles. We got kids with great grades and great character. And they probably had as good an example last year of what we want a senior class to look like a year ago. And these guys, probably the greatest compliment I could give them, outside of being good players and good kids, is they were great followers. And we had some great leadership a year ago. And as we enter 2013, our goal is, our motto is greater than, and we're hoping that our intangibles can be greater than our talent level. And we have some really talented, skilled kids coming back. On offense, we got two quarterbacks coming back, Montgomery Mangborder and Taylor Mitchell. Both those kids rotated every series last year for 15 games, a really unique situation. Two great competitors and two great players. I always joke and tell people that I think we have the best backup quarterback in the state. I just don't know which one it is. We share the ball on offense. Our tailback and fullback games by committee, and we certainly have some talented running backs coming back, and Xavier Hodgsey and Thomas Wilson and Joshua Thomas. The line of scrimmage is probably where on offense. We've got three guys coming back, but they were young a year ago, and we're excited about them being a year better, but really have to develop some players and some depth on the offensive line. At receiver, we got some kids coming back with Trey Neal leading that group, and Corey and Dion help us a lot at tight end, along with an upcoming star, I think, in Isaac Nada, who will be a sophomore next year. He's going to be a really good player for us at tight end. On defense, we only have one returning starter on the D-line, Dante Gordon. But at every other position, we have kids that have played a lot. And, I think it's kind of similar to the offense side of the ball. If we can get those guys to come on, and we have some kids, I think, that are very capable of doing it, I think we got a chance to be really good on the D-line as well. At linebacker, obviously, we got these two guys returning with Joshua Thomas, a rising junior who played a lot last year as a sophomore. And I have really high expectations of that linebacking group. And in the secondary, we got Thomas and Terrence Wilson. Terrence plays our boundary corner. Thomas plays the field. Twin brothers that have really had a great year last year as juniors. And Trey's coming back as a returning starter at free safety. And we have to develop some depth at that safety position as well. Matt Bonadies is coming back as our kicker. Blake Ferguson is coming back as our snapper. And David Curry and Matt will probably battle out the duties to be our punter. So I think we're going to have a really solid kicking game again this year as well. So it's been fun going through the process. I always tell folks that Monday after the 4th of July feels like we're starting football season, and it's 7 days a week until it's over. And we're excited about getting started. We're heading off to camp next week, and it's just you feel like you've been building your team, and now it's really time to put all the pieces together and see what's what, and finding leaders within the ranks. And I always tell these kids, leaders aren't born. And you don't, January 1st when you become a senior, you don't know exactly how to be a senior and how to be a leader, and that's a learning process. And I've been really pleased with these guys and the progress that they've made as leaders, and looking forward to see even more growth out of this senior class. And we always say, as our seniors go, so will go our season, and that's the responsibility these guys will have to take on as we move forward this fall. Chip, would you like me to keep speaking or pass the mic on now? Or?
I'll hear from you, some of your players.
All right. Dion?
This is Dion King. Started middle linebacker for us last year. Was an all-state player. Also, Dion is probably ranked in the top 2 or 3. Has a chance to be our valedictorian next year. And has an opportunity to go to some Ivy League schools as well.
Hi, my name is Dion King. I played middle linebacker last year for Wolves, and this is just a great opportunity this season to have success. And being a senior this year is just been an amazing 3 years, and finally it's our turn to lead. And I feel like between the senior class and the underclassmen, there's a lot of trust, and so they can count on us to lead, and we can count on them to follow. And so that trust is going to be big time, especially later in the season. And we know from last year that we can always count on our underclassmen to rise to the occasion, and we're just going to try to focus on the things that we we can control like our intangibles, our speed of play, our effort, our attitude, and that's going to be a primary goal. And having our intangibles greater than our talent, we always talk about that, and we try to strive for that every day. And so that's pretty much what it's looking like this year.
So I'm Corey Rogers, returning linebacker. And, I've been at Buford my whole life. And it's really amazing here. And a couple things that makes Buford special is just, how we win around here, and everybody, we never really get satisfied. And coaches do a great job of, pushing us and playing to our best, and the players do a good job of buying into everything and every day. It's not easy, but, it's still fun being out there with the team and building a bond with the team.
My name is Trey Neal, returning safety from Buford High School, and I came here when I was a freshman, and I was wowed when I first watched Buford football for the first time. I mean, the hard work you got to put in every summer, and it's all summer. Probably that week off you still got to put in work because you come back Monday, you're running, you're going to be throwing up and everything. But I have a lot. I love Buford actually, and when I first came, it was hard, but they told me to buy in. The coaches, they really know how to push you as hard as you can, but they make it fun while you're doing it. So we get to enjoy it, and it's probably my last year, but I'm gonna enjoy it, make it last.
Coach, can you give us an overview of kind of what's going on recruiting-wise at Buford? Some of your kids, and Buford's known for your talented players.
Well, Corey just committed to Clemson a few weeks ago. Like I said earlier, Deion's going to have some opportunities. He visited BYU a few weeks ago, and he's visited some Ivy League schools. Taylor Mitchell, one of our quarterbacks, is up at Penn this weekend. They've offered him another Ivy League school. Taylor's also one of our quarterbacks. He's probably top 5 in his senior class as well. Trey has got multiple Division I offers, and just kind of going through those. And I don't know how long that process will play out for him. Our other quarterback, Montgomery Van Gorder, was offered by Murray State a couple of weeks ago at camp. Had a really good day over there, and I believe he is at UGA this weekend and maybe visiting Sanford and Furman the next 2 weekends. So he's got a chance to play as well. We have a tight end, Cameron Poole, who's being recruited by some of the Ivy League schools as well. Big, tall, 6'5", 210-pound tight end. Cameron's also in the mix to be our valedictorian. We've been lucky here lately. Last year, one of our team captains, Grant Hall, who's ended up walking on at Duke, was our valedictorian, and we're following that class up with another great group of student athletes at Buford, so I'm excited about that. Dante Gordon, a fullback, defensive end, Massachusetts, I believe, offered him this past month. He's a great player and been a 3-year player for us as well. I'm trying to think some of the other guys. Thomas Wilson plays tailback and field corner. Multiple D1 offers. Very talented kid, great in the kicking game, in our return game. I think he's visiting Georgia Tech actually this weekend. Vanderbilt's offered, and some other schools, some of the high academic schools that he's interested, I believe, in being an engineer. So it could come down to those two for him. And we have some younger kids that are talented that are being recruited, but not really to the extent yet that these older guys are. So.
Could you talk about the twins, how they're like, how they're different, what the college is like?
They are. I tell you what, for being twin brothers, they really seem to enjoy each other every day. See, we always joke, say, man, they never get tired of each other. But so I can imagine what they're like at home. But I mean, it doesn't matter if we're running or in the weight room or in practice. Those guys are connected to the hip and cutting up all the time. But very, very close. Very different personality-wise. Terrence is a very boisterous, outgoing. He can be loud. He's fun. He's a fun kid to coach. Extremely competitive and tough. Plays our boundary corner and really kind of sets the edge and sets the tone for us into the boundary. Thomas is a little longer, has great ball skills and probably a little bit faster, but a great cover guy. And on offense, obviously, a very talented running back and receiver. But fun kids to coach, and they've done a good job for us.
And your father played at Florida State?
Yes, their dad did play at Florida State.
And then with Corey, you had some of the
Yeah, I mean, Corey's he's had a great career already at Buford. And, you know, what Corey would probably tell you is he's got 10 great players playing around him. He'd probably give a lot of credit to those guys up front. Corey's strengths are he can play inside or outside, handle space really well. And I always tell people Corey's one of those linebackers that can snap his hips. It doesn't matter if you give him a 10-yard run at start or if he's in a phone booth. A very explosive kid and really has a knack for affecting the football. Making plays on the ball in space or when he's tackling. I don't know if we've ever had a kid who's affected the ball more and gotten the ball out more than Corey Rogers. It's been a real gift of his. And very quiet, very humble. I can't compliment Corey enough on how well he handled the recruiting process. I mean, he minimized everything. It wasn't about him. You know, he wasn't into calling people back every night. And, you know, just a lot of humility there. And it's been fun as a head coach to watch a teenager handle that kind of attention the way he did.
Coach, you're coming back after a state championship year. Can you talk about when you've had any problems with complacency and how you've handled that, how your kids have handled that?
You know, I read a long time ago, you know, when you have this kind of success, and we've been blessed to have with, I mean, Coach Belichick talks about, hey, your number one job every day as a head coach is to fight complacency. And certainly that's always in the back of my mind is evaluating, you know, is this team satisfied or you know, or is the rhetoric around here that, hey, this is how we do things and it works and that's why we should do it, or are people really trying to improve and grow all the time? And you know, the good news for us is we've been here before. I mean, this isn't something new. And I really have been pleased. I mean, I think my staff is hungry. They're focused. We're pushing our players to grow. You know, we're not satisfied where we've been. We have the bar really high for these kids, and they got a long way to go to get where we want them to be. And you know, from an off-season perspective, I haven't sensed any. You know, when we get to the season, you know, I think then, you know, that's the next part of this deal is, you know, how are we approaching game week and how are we approaching opponents? And is it more about us and our process, or is it about who we're playing? And I think if we can stay focused on us and enjoying the journey and doing the things that we do well, this team's got a chance at the end of the year to be right there, you know, and but there's no guarantees of that. And certainly that's the responsibility that falls on these seniors, that we improve. You know, I always talk about improvement in football teams. Most teams make their most improvement from August 1st till game 2. That's when you're going to see your teams improve the most. The great teams will always have a second and third spike of improvement, I believe, late in the regular season or even into the playoffs. And that's when you want to be playing your best football. And hopefully we can carry that out, and these guys can execute that part of the plan.
It does bring to mind something from last year when you playing at AAA in a new region for the first time. A lot of newness that probably helped you a little bit last year. Do you feel like maybe now that you're familiar with some of those opponents, the comfort level will rise a little bit more for the kids this year?
You know, I think it might. You know, the biggest difference for us in AAA is when we got to the playoffs, you know, you felt like there was legitimately 8 to 12 teams that can win a state championship. And if you look at our scores and you watched any of our games, all 5 of our playoff games were nail-biters. None of them were blowouts by any stretch. We were behind at halftime in 2 of those 5 playoff games. And because of some situations that happened, we were on the road 4 out of 5 weeks. So, you know, but I think that those adversities, those new experiences all breed excitement and momentum for your program. And you know, this obviously just being our second year in AAA, I think hopefully there's more of that in store for us.
I think that's time allocated for Buford, so we appreciate y'all coming here. Thanks, guys. And